Hi, it's assembly time. I hope you're all okay. I hope you've had a lovely weekend. I hope that you are in school and ready to learn and ready to do some really cool stuff and to learn some new facts, because we know that when we learn new stuff, we become better people, we grow as people, and it means that we can take what we've learned and put it into some kind of new situation where we think, oh, that's it, I'm going to do it. So, like it says on our mission statement, together we learn, grow, and dream. That's exactly what you guys are doing. So, this week's assemblies are going to be examples of people who've learned, grown, and dreamt just because they're kind of good books. And I think it's really exciting to say you could be like this. You could be this person in this book. You could learn something, you could grow as a person, and you could do something incredible. Okay, so our mission statement, we've looked at this slide where we looked at we learn, grow, and dream. And then we looked at this word cloud. And we read a really, really cool book on Friday, Rosie Revere, Engineer. And Rosie was enthusiastic, she was resilient, she was creative, she was resourceful, she was curious. And oops, I've gone on too far again. And today we're going to concentrate on this blue word here, resilient. Okay, and that's actually going to be the focus of the week. We're going to be thinking about people who have been resilient in their lives. Now, the story I'm going to use today is a special treat just for the children in Badger's class, because I went into Badger's on Friday, and they were in the middle of the assembly and looking at Rosie Revere, Engineer, and looking at what a cool book it was, and looking at the amazing pictures, and they were doing loads of talk about it, and everybody seemed to be really enjoying it. So what I've done, because I like it, is I found this one on my shelf, Ada Twist, Scientist. And I decided that seeing as the children in Badger's class liked Rosie Revere, Engineer just as much, I thought that we would read Ada Twist, Scientist together. So well done, Badgers. You've been helpful with choosing our book for assembly. And just because you guys like Rosie Revere, Engineer, I thought we'd give this one a go as well, with just as many really cool illustrations and just as much of a fantastic story about somebody who is properly inspirational, who's resilient. Okay, so just like we did before, I'm going to read the story right the way through. I might pause on pages where there's really cool illustrations, like on this front cover, but I'm looking for 4 things today. Has this person learned? Have they grown? Did they dream? Were they resilient? Did they keep going even when things were a bit tough? Okay, so learn, grow, dream, resilient. Right, that's what we're going to go for. Off we go. Let's read our story. Ada Twist, Scientist. Ada Marie said not a word until the day she turned 3. She bounced in her crib and looked all around, observing the world, but not making a sound. She learned how to climb and made her big break, with a trail of chaos left in her wake. She ran through the day chasing each sound and sight, and didn't slow down until she conked out at night. Her parents were frazzled, but tried not to freak, as Ada grew bigger and still did not speak. Clearly, young Ada, with lots in her head, would have something to say when it ought to be said. That's just what happened when Ada turned 3. She tore through the house on a fact-finding spree and climbed up the clock just as high as she could. Her parents yelled, "Stop!" as all good parents would. Ada's chin quivered, but she did not cry. She took a deep breath and she simply asked, "Why? Why does it tick and why does it tock? Why don't we call it a granddaughter clock? Why are there pointy things stuck to a rose? Why are there hairs up inside of your nose?" She started with why, and then what, how, and when. By bedtime, she came back to why once again. She drifted to sleep as her dazed parents smiled at the curious thoughts of their curious child who wanted to know what the world was about. They kissed her, and whispered, "You'll figure it out." Her parents kept up with their high-flying kid, whose questions and chaos both grew as she did. Lots and lots of questions. What does it do? Will it be the same? When will it? Why does it? How does it? Even Miss Greer found her hands were quite full when young Ada's chaos wreaked havoc at school. But this was much clearer. This much was clear about Miss Ada Twist. She had all the traits of a great scientist. Ada was busy that first day of spring, testing the sounds that make mockingbirds sing, when a horrible stench whacked her right in the nose, a pungent aroma that curled up her toes. Zowie, said Ada, which got her to thinking. What is the source of that terrible stinking? How does a nose know there's something to smell? And does it still stink if there's no nose to tell? She rattled off questions and tapped on her chin. She'd start at the start where she ought to begin. A mystery, a riddle, a puzzle, a quest. This was the moment that Ada loved best. Ada did research to learn all that she could. Shall I read that line again? Ada did research to learn all that she could of smelling and smells, both the stinky and good. One hypothesis Ada thought could be true. The terrible stink came from Dad's cabbage stew. She tested and tested, but soon Ada knew it was time to come up with hypothesis 2. Then zowie, the stink struck again, just like that. Hypothesis 2, it's caused by the cat. The cat couldn't make such a stink on its own. It needed perfume and some fancy cologne. So young Ada tested. The test was a flop. She started again, but her parents yelled, "Stop! Look at what she's about to do to make the cat clean." Don't think that's a good idea. Ada Marie, to the thinking chair now, by the time we count 3. Enough, said her mother. That's it, said her dad. Her parents were frustrated, frazzled, and mad. Why, Ada questioned. Her mother said, no. What? Ada queried. Her father said, go. You've ruined our supper. You've made the cat stink. Enough with your questions. Now sit there and think. She looked at her parents. Her heart turned to goo. Poor Ada Twist didn't know what to do. She sat all alone by herself in the hall, and Ada, once more, could say nothing at all. And so Ada sat, and she sat, and she sat, and she thought about science and stew and the cat, and how her experiments made such a big mess. Does it have to be so? Is that part of success? Are messes a problem? And while she was thinking, what was the source of that terrible stinking? Ada Marie did what scientists do. She asked a small question, and then she asked 2, and each of those led her to 3 questions more, and some of those questions resulted in 4. As Ada got thinking, she really dug in. She scribbled her questions and tapped on her chin. She started at why, and then what, how, and when. At the end of the hall, she reached why once again. Her parents calmed down and they came back to talk. They looked at the hallway and just had to gawk. No patch of bare paint could be seen on the wall. The thinking chair now was the great thinking hall. They watched their young daughter and sighed as they did. What would they do with this curious kid who wanted to know what the world was about? They smiled and whispered, we'll figure it out. And that's what they did, because that's what you do when your kid has a passion and heart that is true. They remade their world. Now they're all in the act of helping young Ada sort fiction from fact. She asks lots of questions. How could she resist? It's all in the heart of a young scientist. And as for that smell, what can Ada Twist do but learn all she can with her friends in grade 2? Will they discover the stink that curls toes? Well, that is the question. And someday, who knows? I wonder what it is that causes the smell. Could it possibly be that all small children are really smelly? I'm not sure. But there you go. What a great story. We've got Ada Twist, the scientist, and we saw that page where she learned all of the stuff that she could find out about smelling. And she got stuck. She sat on the thinking chair and she thought, is this how science works? So she grew as a person because she realized she wasn't going to find the answer straight away. And she dreamed of all the possibilities, dreamed about finding those answers. So that question was, what was that word beginning with R? Right back at the start. Do you remember? Resilient, that's right. Was she resilient? Well, there's the question. Did she stick at it when she couldn't solve the problem? Yes, she did. You're right. She was resilient. She was just like you guys. Absolutely true. For those people in oaks and dragonflies and spiders who have been accepted by NASA to be part of their space mission, all of the people involved had to be resilient because they didn't get it all sorted straight away. I was in Mr. Bound's class and he was talking to somebody who'd got a couple of capital letters in the wrong place or missing, and they had some fix it time, and that showed resilience because people were working hard and doing their best to make things better. And that's exactly what Ada Twist did. So, what an amazing book. I absolutely love this. I have this one and I have another copy. I've got 2 copies of this book for some reason, and they are on my bookshelf in my office. So, if you get sent to my office with good work this week and you would like to read this book, then you have to let me know and you can borrow a copy. So the first people to do really good work and want to read it, you have to come to my office, say, please, Mr. Boot, can we borrow the book? And then it can go in the library for other people to read when they are done. Okay, so resilience, it's a really important thing. And on Wednesday in assembly, we are going to learn about a sports person who had to be resilient. Okay, I hope I remember and don't record that one for Friday instead. I'm sure I'll do my best to remember and do the sports person on Wednesday. Have a lovely rest of the day, guys. I hope you're all okay. I will see you around school. Bye-bye.